Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast, a place to discuss pain, passion, and pursuits.
I want to feel alive.
Breathe.
Make some moves.
Protect the throne. This is Sexy Freedom Media Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. It's your host, Helen Edwards. And
January, Liddell, aloha.
our podcast subject is the act of courage, saying yes to the unknown. And January, repeat what you just asked me.
So I asked you, why did you choose this topic for our podcast today?
Yeah, so the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I had made a post on my Facebook page yesterday about just kind of listing two big yeses that I did for April and for May. And I also realized in the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm going to take every month and make it my month of yes. And what that means is saying yes to things that scare me or take me out of my comfort zone, but also push me into better places in my life or to upgrade my life or skills. And what I realized is at the end of May, I kind of started dwindling where I was just forgetting to be intentional about my yeses. And then it hit me. This is exactly what happens to most people is at the beginning of the year, we start off with, oh my God, this year is going to be amazing. This year I'm going to do this, that, and that. Or we have these visions of what we want our life to look like. So we're fired up in the beginning of the year. But usually towards the half of the year or even like the second quarter of the year, we all start kind of getting back into our comfort zones. We're not as driven. We're tired. We've got too much on our plate. We're just like, fuck it. I'm just going to just let life take me. It's too hard. It's too much. I've got too much on my life. And I just realized like, no, 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 no. This is not what we're doing. This is not what we're doing. This is about you and your relationship with yourself, Helen. I want you to come back to that beginning drive, like what drove you to want to do this in the first place. And I remember thinking, I wanted change. I wanted change in my life. I wanted to do different things so I can gain different results. And so that's why I thought about this subject. Like, don't stop. If any time there was a moment to revamp and to keep going, this is that moment when you feel like, I'm going to skip this month. But the thing is to stay consistent with intentions. I think intentions is the part we forget. And I want to stay intentional with saying yes to say no, saying yes to things that scare me, saying yes to choosing me, choosing health, mind, body, soul, all the awesome things that I want to do.
You are an amazing cheerleader for so many of us, but I love how you are cheering yourself and you're keeping yourself accountable because that's inspiring. I think a lot of us tend to, just like you said, fall back and say, nah, forget it. I'm not going to do it. That is actually how I felt about shuffling. So I was shuffling for a good 5 days and I was so excited to do the next day. But then life got in the way and I wasn't able to shuffle, and then I wasn't able to shuffle the next day or the next day. So I've missed 2 or 3 days now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I lost my streak. And I love that you chose this topic because it's equally important to say yes to things that's going to give you value, but also yes to yourself. And I think that's the one thing that you're teaching me, Helen, is that you're saying yes to yourself and yes to continuing what you said that you were going to do. And I love that about you. I think so many of us love that about you. When you asked me about this topic, or you told me this is what we're going to talk about, I just thought about all the things that I had said yes to. And there are certain things in my life that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I said yes. Uh, but let me backtrack. It's ironic that you should choose this topic because yesterday at church, the topic was victory over insecurity. But one of the things that she said this is Pastor Lisa Kai. She said, "Your yes unlocks your destiny. Your yes unlocks your destiny." I thought that was so amazing and so relevant to our topic. So when I first moved here to Hawaii, I said yes to moving to Hawaii. I was living in the Bay Area, and I only had $200 in my account, but I said, yes, I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And so I said yes to that. And that was 25 years ago of living here in Hawaii. So obviously it was the right decision. And I said yes to marrying my husband, even though I didn't feel like I was ready. I'm like, really? I'm like 28. I'm like, no, I don't really want to get married right now. But I said yes to it. And if I didn't say yes to it, I wouldn't have my children. So I'm so thankful for my children. I said yes to buying a house, even though we didn't think we were financially ready. We said yes, and so thankfully we did say yes to buying a house back in the day because it was lower and prices now it's like 1 million to buy a house, okay, here in Hawaii. Yes to a book, writing a book, even though it scared the heck out of me. I'm like, sure, I'm gonna write it. And I said I would write 8. Why I said that, I have no idea, but I said yes, I'm gonna write 8 books. And then I said yes to the financial industry. When Danny once told me you'd be great in the finance industry, all you have to do is A, B, C, D, and you'd be in the industry. And I said yes, even though I didn't feel confident or clear enough that that was the industry that I wanted to go in. So I feel like I've said a yes to start a lot of things that has helped me and that has shaped me. And I'm just so thankful that you're reminding me that I should say yes to my health, yes to the things that I said that I'm going to do, to be intentional about it. And it's a great reminder that even though like we're in mid-year, almost, oh yeah, we are mid-year. It's June. Happy June to June. Yeah, June 2. And we're mid-year, and it's a great question for all of us. Are you continuing to say yes to yourself? Are you continuing the journey you set out to explore and to be in the first of the year? Or have you taken a step back? Have you sat on your couch and decided to just Netflix and chill? What have you done? And Helen, what have you done? What have you said yes to this past May?
Well, I think it's important to also be able to step back and be aware of what you're saying yes to, so that way you can see how you can expand. Because one of the things that I think many of us do is we're saying yes to a lot of different people. And that can be a little bit overwhelming because we think we're saying yes to ourselves, but we're actually saying yes to other people and what they want us to do for them or for ourselves just to appease them. And often think about that. Like, what I want, what I'm saying is like, I want to say yes to being intentional, but I want to say yes to being an upgraded version of my intentions. There's always another level to go to. And I was thinking about that with intentions. And one of the things, my big yes right now for me is saying yes to the day. Instead of looking at my whole future in front of me or my whole past behind me, be present in this day. What are we going to say yes to in this day and be okay with? And if you just take it, just like break today down 24 hours, break that down even smaller, because you're going to take time to spend with other people who might take some energy from you, jobs, other things. What are you saying yes to yourself? Like, what kind of conversations are you having in your head? And saying Netflix is also saying yes to yourself in different ways that only you know about. Maybe it's yes to just resting your mind and letting your mind focus on something else so you don't have to think. Maybe it's saying yes to Netflix to, just avoid everything in life. Like, you don't really know what you're saying yes to until you start upgrading your mindset to being aware and being intentional about your yes. And so that's one of the things I'm starting to break down for myself. Like, what are we saying yes to today? Yes, I want to go have coffee with my friend. What exactly is that going to amount to? What am I saying yes to? Like, I know this person well enough to say, I know how this conversation might go. Is it going to feed me? Is it going to, still for me? Is it going to provide value for me? So I'm starting to get a lot more intentional with my day per se. And that's a big deal for me because I've been exhausted lately. So my energy it's become very, very precious to me. And also spending a lot of my energy to, like you said earlier, health. Like I want my energy to expand. So how can I expand that? It's breaking everything down and just being really my intentional about where my intention is flowing to.
Ooh, I like that because I'm in that same realm because I'm involved in so many different things, and I completely understand what you said about, hey, I'm giving my energy to you, and it is very precious. It's a gift, because there's only so much energy that I have. So if I am giving you my time and my energy, and likewise, right? Because it goes both ways. That person is giving me their time, their energy, and that's precious. And so I like that you're being intentional with your intentions, because it is important. We only have so much time and days in the week and so much life, right? We don't know when our expiration date is. And so I like that you are really mindful of who you give your yeses to, what you give your yeses to, and you're questioning, are these yeses going to give me value? Are these yeses going to uplift me and make me feel better? Helen, are you there? Where were we? Okay, so being mindful of your intentions and who you give your time and your space to, because we only have a few hours in the day, and we have and we're in our 40s, so our time frame is like, and I don't want to say cut short because it's not. I mean, we still have so much life to give, but really, it is a precious gift. Our energy, our time, our space, our aura is, it's very important to give it to the people that are actually going to, give you value, help you grow, and just the people that you love, right, and care for.
One of the things that I'm also saying yes to, and I spoke about this in our last episode, we talked about the idea of saying yes to saying no and saying yes to saying yes. Well, the yes to saying no, because doom scrolling. I think I got in the habit of doom scrolling first thing in the morning. I check my messages. I check like every single app, and I realized like this is not how I want to start my day. But I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to try to break that pattern until I started realizing I was I was kind of being rebellious towards the idea of stop doom scrolling. And then that made me realize, like, whoa, that's a problem. That's a problem that I'm in this repeated pattern that I have a hard time quitting. And I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to be super intentional about it. Like, if I grab my phone, because I usually grab my phone in the morning just to check the time, right? Just in case I've got meetings or anything. But when I do that, I also, it's like the feel of the phone in your hand, it's like, oh my gosh, let's go swim in virtual reality. And that's when I'm like, whoa, put it down, like put it down. Say yes, say no, just put it down. This is not how I want to start my day. And it's not that I don't touch my phone. I kind of tell myself, like, look, put your phone down. Take care of first thing, make your bed. There's some control in the world, right? Make your bed, feel good about life. And then go make your mushroom coffee and then go sit down. And I always put on, after Rob goes to work, I put on some native flutes and I put that on just to have some peace in my house. And then I start reading books and then I start doing my journaling. And then I tell myself, then you can get on your phone. It's almost like I have to treat myself like a child. and say, little baby Helen inside of you, you can have this reward after you do what's really good for you in the morning. That's going to help your set your day and your tone. And then after I do that, and I'm so excited, like the little kid in me, like, oh my God, can I go? Can I play now? Can I play? And then here's, it's like grown me's like, okay, here you go. And then even that, I'm like, okay, don't overwhelm it. I know when I'm doom scrolling in an unhealthy way. And this is what it looks like when your thumb is just at work. It's flipping, and you're not even thinking at that point. It's almost like you're on this it's
You're
almost like you're a
automatic.
computer. Yeah, you're automatic. Nothing's You see a friend's post and you're like, "Oh, cool." Flip. Like you're not even being intentional about saying, "That's my friend. She posted something beautiful. I want to take time to read that." That's when you know doom scrolling is more of a doom than a beautiful experience for you to connect with the people you love through virtual reality.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for inviting me or educating me on that term. I've actually never heard of doom scrolling. But you're right. There are moments when I just got up that I'm like, okay, let me go to Facebook, let me go to Instagram. I want to see, the videos and then with the videos, that's where I continue to like use my thumb, like, okay, I want to see more videos. But I had no idea it was called doom scrolling. My doom scrolling is because I think a lot. I think a lot. And I just need a time to just not think. And so the doom scrolling actually helps me not think. It's actually there for me to just calm my mind. And I know as what is that word that I'm trying to say? It's not excuse. It's not like I'm not justifying it, but at the same time, I'm like, I think that's why I'm doom scrolling. It's because I don't want to think. Um, but I don't have the time as well. So, just like you, and I love that you do that. I love that you say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Like these all have to be in place before I actually treat myself to scrolling and seeing the different posts. And I love that you are intentionally doing that for you and just being mindful of where are you putting your energies? Where are you putting your like your how are you setting off your day? Because I feel like with in the morning is when we set our intentions. In the morning is when we do the routine that's going to make us feel better or that it's going to create the type of day that I want is in that first hour of the morning. And if you're scrolling in that early wee hours of the morning, right when you wake up, the question I ask myself am, is this what I want to do? Like, is this how I want to be for the rest of the day and just scroll endlessly or aimlessly through virtual worlds? What is this actually giving to me? Like, and that's the question I ask myself. What is this actually giving to me? And I love that you said, if I'm going to see a friend's post, am I just going to like it or heart it and then just walk away? Or am I actually going to sit still and really give my friend the honor and the courtesy that he or she deserves because they actually took the time to do this post. And I love that you mentioned that too, because I'm guilty. I'm guilty of just saying like, and that's it, or like little heart, and that's it. But not really give more life to my comments or to how I want to present myself to my friend. Thank you. Thank you for inspiring me.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I've realized about myself is I used to compare all the time. And a lot of the upgrading of my life came from comparison because I wanted to be like so many people. I wanted to be successful like them. I wanted to look as great as them. I wanted to be as, high leveled in their thought process. I just wanted to be like so many other people. And then after years and years and years of being disappointed because I wasn't like other people, it finally hit me. you're not meant to be like other people. And once I got rid of that plate of expectation that I had on myself, and by the way, it's not completely gone. I still work on it every day to try to get rid of it. But by getting more intentional with just the day has helped me so much. This idea of stopping the doom scrolling or controlling it more than it controls me came from me being aware of my habits. And again, just like we talked about last week, I'm still reading Badass Habits by Jen Sincero. And it's been really helpful for me because sometimes we focus on so many other people and what we want to change about them or what they should change about themselves because it makes us feel good to help people, right? But I realized I need to help myself. And it's okay to just help myself and shift that energy towards just me. Like, why do I got to save the world? I don't have to. That's Jesus's job. Like, my job is to help Helen become the best version of herself and feel good about my life and look back and say, wow, you did great. It wasn't easy, but you're doing it and you're going to be a better person for yourself and for other people because of it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, let's go further. Let's go further. Like, what can you do today to help yourself? And it's okay if you just want to like crash out and watch Netflix. That's okay. But how about instead of us doing that at 2 p.m. every day, I'm just making up stuff here, but or 6 p.m. when you get home from work, how about change just one little shift. Grab a book, go in the room and read one chapter or just 2 pages. And that's what I started this month. This month I decided to do that exact thing I'm talking about. I love books, but I usually read them only in the mornings. And for the first time in many years, probably, in fact, I don't even know if I've ever done this before. I decided to shift that pattern I had of just reading in the morning to also doubling it up. Like I said, upgrading my skills, upgrading my habits, doubling it up and taking time out to read one chapter of a new book I got. And I love it. I was like, oh my God, this feels so different. And I like it. It's the strangest thing, but when it's a domino effect, if you start changing one pattern in your life, that's going to have a domino or a ripple effect on all your other patterns in life. Your patterns are like little aliens inside of you. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What's Fred doing over there? Nuh-uh, I'm just naming my pattern as Fred, but Fred, what are you doing? And Fred's over here like, I'm trying something new. It's freaking me out, but I got this. And next, all the other aliens are like, oh my God, oh my, well, I want to be like Fred. You know what I mean? So the comparison is no longer with people outside of you, but all your habits within you.
Please say hi to Fred for me.
Such a random name I picked.
Well, okay, so inside, fun fact, I guess, whenever I have a pimple, I call him Herbert. And so Herbert will show up every now and then, I'm like, oh, Herbert's back.
Okay, that's so gross. I'm sorry, but I'm so grossed out by pimples and people who want to pop pimples. And I know a bunch of people like Rob gets a thrill. He's like, oh, let me pop it. Oh, I'm so grossed out by it. It's probably one of my biggest like bleh, grossed out things. One of them. I've got a bunch because I'm kind of weird like that.
You do have a bunch. I do know you have a bunch. I do love Dr. Pimple Popper. So Nina and I will love watching that. We're like, oh my gosh, that's so satisfying.
Oh my God, it's so gross. I don't know how this is a great example of how different people are and how unique we both are in our own way. It's just fascinating to me to know that there's people like you who love that because I'm like, I don't see it. But then there's people like me who can't stand the sound of people eating or drinking. It's the weirdest thing.
Weird. Yeah, you know what? That makes us one of a kind. So you are one of a kind. I'm one of a kind. And back to our story. I love that you're disrupting your pattern and you're disrupting just the way that you normally do things because you're telling yourself, "Hey, I've been doing this pattern, Fred, all this time, right?" And you're like, "I want to add up Fred, Herbert, Fred, Herbert." You want to just switch it up. And I love that you want to switch it up. Sam, my husband tends to mix things up. So when we're in my kitchen, I have things just lined up just the way I like it because it just makes sense to be this way, this way. Every now and then, he will switch things up. And I love that he actually does that because then it challenges my mind. And it challenges my mind because instead of the knives being on this side, now the knives are on the left side. And I'm like, oh, where? So it really does like disrupt the way that I do things. And it's like life, right? Life is just like that. We are not going to consistently have our A, B, C, D, E, F, G in that order. There are moments where it's going to be A, Z, M, T, S, whatever. And it's a matter of how are we going to respond to when patterns disrupt and what is our attitude towards those disruptions. When initially when Sam did that, I was annoyed, and I was annoyed because I know exactly where things are located, and he did that, and I'm like, oh, now I have to like relearn things. But I shifted my perspective, and I shifted it because he is actually without intentionally doing it, he's actually training my brain or exercising my brain to think of something different. There was one thing in Atomic Habits, and it talked about how if you shift your, like brushing your teeth, if you're right dominant and you switch it to the left, that's gonna like create just a different type of scenario in your brain, and you're exercising like your different motor skills and your brain. And that's how I see what you're doing, Helen. And you're baking, because I know you don't like baking. I know you don't like, in fact, you use the word hate. You hated that stuff. And the fact that you're like disrupting your pattern and how hey, maybe you do like it now, or you're tolerating it now than you were before. And you're creating a different type of environment because now you're in the kitchen with all these different ingredients and all these different methods, strategies that you have to use in order to create this delicious treat, and I love that you're interrupting that. Shuffling. You are the one who introduced me to shuffling. That is a whole nother thing that I honestly was like, I look so goofy doing this, but I'm gonna try it anyway. So I did say yes to it. And I'm so happy that even though we didn't even talk about it, you were doing it on your end and I was doing it on my end. And then we came back together and we're like, hey, let's just do this again together, like we did last year. And I love it because I feel like it is definitely growing us and giving us a sense of who is Helen, who is January, because we're not flats, right? We're not like this cookie cutter type of person. There's actually pieces of our brain. Okay, I think it said that we only use 10% of our brain. So what we're doing is we're trying to unlock more than just the 10%. We're actually trying to use more of it and to be able to just expand and transform. Last week, I was in this space of who is January? Who am I? And I love that I get into those moments because it reminds me of how far I've come. It reminds me of how many times did I say yes? Yes to the things that did elevate me, that did create a better version of me. And it was really cool to see the transformation from when I was a kid to now. And I think it's important that we really dig deep. It's important to really dig deep into our childhood and why it is that we act the way we act. A lot of it stems from our childhood. It stems from the patterns that were habits and the patterns that have created us back then when we were kids to now. And what Helen and I are discussing is how are we going to say yes to all these different things, and to be able to not only acknowledge and accept it, but be able to see that those yeses are actually there to serve us and they're there to transform us and become the better versions of ourselves.
Ooh, yes, fire. Okay, so here's another perspective. I posted up about the 40 more summers. And just for our audience, I read the post, and hopefully I don't butcher it, but in short, the post was talking about if you think about you only have 40 more years, right? So if you're 30, you're going to live till you're 70. If you're 40, you're going to live till you're 80, and so on, right? So let's just say you only have 40 more years to your life. That means you're only going to have 40 more summers, 40 more Christmases, 40 more 4th of Julys, 40 more birthdays with your kids. You know, if you break that down, that's a very small, small number. And it makes you kind of, or I would hope, appreciate more the time spent with your loved ones and the time to get your life together, get your shit together, okay? In other words, now let's take that a little bit more in the present moment. We have only 40 more Junes. This is such a beautiful month, okay? This is the month that's kind of like, spring going into summer. And it's like only 40 more of these, only 40 more of Junes. I love June. I love July's. There's so many awesome things that come with each month. So if we take it and we're like, okay, only 40 more Junes, this one out of the 40 more Junes means so much to me. I want to make some of the biggest impacts of my life this month. And so I try to think about that. And I think that's what really pushes me or lights a fire under my ass to say yes to things that scare me. And only you know what scares you. And when we talk about things that scare us, I want to invite you to think of questions like, what's going to make your money grow? What's going to make your health better? What are things that you can say yes to that's going to get your business from A to B or A to Z even? What's going to make your faith grow? What's going to make your relationships grow? Is there something you've been wanting to say yes to, but you're scared of what other people might think about you, or you think you're not smart enough, or you think you don't have the resources to get there? So think about those yeses in your life that you want to say yes to, but you're afraid. And that's what's really going to push you out of the comfort zone. And then match that up with this is one out of the 40 Junes you're going to have. One. Like after that, you only get 39 more. Okay. Now, we hope that you live way longer. But if you break it down to this as time is limited, because time really is short, and everybody who has lost somebody close to them knows exactly what that means. That's the reality of life. And you want to spend it so enriched with your own love of yourself, for yourself, and obviously for others, but start with yourself, and that's going to just expand.
Last night, Nina and I both had very similar dreams. I had a dream that I had lost her. So I lost her. She had a dream that I passed. So it was such a weird, and we haven't had that before where we dreamt of like losing each other. But that I feel like that just means that we really care about each other. We really love each other. And you're right, the 40 years left, or the 40 summers, the 40 Christmases. And I love Christmas. Just the thought of just only 40 is like, can I just have Christmas every day? But it's important. It's important to reflect on that. And it's important to be mindful of, hey, our time is precious and our time is not guaranteed. We may not actually have 40. We may only have 10. We may only have one. So the fact that you're presenting this to us, it's very eye-opening because, and this is something that I had said before, where some of us think that there's always going to be a tomorrow. We're always going to see a tomorrow. And the fact of the matter is that life is just unpredictable. And that's why we do the pattern disruption. The pattern disruption is so that we're not constantly just running on automatic, where wake up, do the bed, get dressed, go to work, come back home, and we're just doing the same thing over and over again because it's not life. And I love that we're challenging ourselves, we're challenging our listeners to pattern disrupt. Pattern disrupt and say yes. I do want to share a story. So yesterday, I told you I went to church, and Pastor Lisa was talking about how she was in her 20s at the time, and she was doing the children's ministry. And the pastor of that particular church said, "We would like you to actually be the director of children's ministry." And she said, "I don't like kids." She said, "I don't like kids. I don't want to do it." And the pastor said, "Well, just pray about it. Just pray about it." And so she did, and she came back to him and she said, "No, it's a no, right?" Well, the pastor said, "You know what? Let's take a step back and let's just pray about it some more." Well, she had gone to a to church, and there was I forgot what the sermon was about, but there was a sermon after that church service. A friend of hers, this guy friend, had come to her and said, "Hey, God just wants me to tell you something, and I'm just going to tell it to you, but he told me to tell you you are worthy." And all that time, she was thinking she wasn't. All that time, that was the reason why she said no. She kept saying no is because she felt like she wasn't worthy. She felt like she wasn't Christian enough because she grew up Buddhist. And so she felt like this is not a space for her to be in. But when he said that to her, "You are worthy," she her eyes just welled up in tears, and she's like, she grabbed him by the neck, by the clothes, and she's like, "Who put you up to this? Did the pastor tell you to tell me this? Did somebody tell you to tell me this?" In any case, she said yes. So she said, "Had I not said yes," she said, "I don't know if I would be married." She's married to Pastor Mike Kai. She's like, "I don't know if I'd be married. I don't know if I would be here in this amazing church." Inspire is the name of the church. And they have like 4 different locations. People are watching globally, right? But her whole thing is that your yes unlocks your destiny. And I think that's the one thing that I took away yesterday is that, yes, when I do say yes to certain things, what is that going to unlock? How is that going to frame my life? And what is it going to do? So, like buying the house, I'm so thankful we bought this house because we were not ready. Financially, we were not ready, but we said yes. We said we better just do it. And we did it. And had we not, I don't know, like, would we still be in the apartment? Would I not be like financially set because now we have an asset, right? I don't know. And I'm glad that I said yes to that. And it's scary. It's scary when you say yes to certain things.
The thing with am I ready or I'm not ready yet, that can be great, but it can also be derailing for many people because I've heard this before. And if you're listening and you're a quotations ready person, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying what I've perceived and been aware of with many of my friends in the past who always came with, well, I'm not ready for that, or when I'm ready for that, I'll do that. The thing is with that word ready is it can quickly become an excuse to not do something. And I've seen it time and time and over and over and over and over again. There is a there is a good time to use ready, the word ready, in your line of decision making versus not using it. And that's why yes is such a big, beautiful, important word. Because yes is going to give you validation and purpose right then, right now. Boom, do it, whether you're ready or not. And if I had spent my whole life using ready, I would not be where I'm at today. And I remember the way my thought process works, and I probably got a lot of this from my mom, is you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure it out. Instead of using do it when you're ready, it was no, you're gonna figure it out. Everything you need is already here. You just need to do it. But you got to figure it out if you don't know how. And that was so important to me because that gave me a lot of the strength to do a lot of things, a lot of saying yes to myself without knowing I was saying yes to myself. I was saying yes to myself. And I have a story for you actually, because I just had this conversation with a friend of mine and it was about jobs that we hate. And she's younger and she's in a job right now that she can't stand and she feels it in her body and and if you're out there and or if you've ever felt this way about a job and you can feel it in your body, you're on your way to work and you feel everything in you saying, I'm going to quit today. I hate this. I don't want to do this. But yet habitually you're driving yourself to the job because guess what? You need the money, right? And I was telling her how I've had numerous jobs that I've walked out of where I didn't know where I was going to get money. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I can tell you one thing for sure. I'm so grateful that I said yes to myself and my health, because your health is the one going, I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel this cortisol in my body. I don't want to feel this stress in my body. I don't want to feel this yuck and ick in my body that you're making, kind of forcing me to feel because you need the money, right? There's that. Then on the flip side, there is the fact that you need money. You got to have money to eat, pay your rent, do the things. So you push yourself past the uncomfortability to get that, right? So there it's a fork in the road, but only you will understand and know how badly you either need to say yes to saying, yes, I'm going to stick with that job, or yes to no, I'm done with this job. And I really want to invite anybody out there who's feeling that way. One, trust yourself. Trust yourself, believe in your abilities, and believe also that what you're worth will come to you. If you think you're worth more than that current job that you actually hate going to, it's time to say goodbye. If it's detrimental to your health, it's time to say goodbye. If it's toxic to you, or your coworkers are toxic or anything like that, it's time to say goodbye. The money will come. You've got to believe it. And if you were able to get this job, you can get another job. And I wrote in my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, about the multiple times that I jumped in jobs that I hated. And I'm so thankful that I said yes to saying no to them and yes to saying yes to me, because I am in a really great place, but I would not be here today if I didn't learn the difference between what wasn't good and healthy for me versus something that was.
I love this topic, Helen, because it's life. It's everyday life, because we say there are micro buy-ins that we do every single day. And those micro buy-ins, those little yeses, those nos that we say, those all create who we are as a person. And I feel like we need another podcast for this. But I do want to ask our audience, if you're still listening to this very end, what are the things that you said yes to that you know now has served you in such a huge capacity? And we want to know. We want to know your stories. We want to know, what did you say yes to? Because Helen and I are here sitting and we're talking about our stories, but we would like to listen to yours and hear your stories, because everyone has some beautiful story to share. And we are just so fortunate. Helen and I are fortunate we have a platform that we get to share it, but we would love to hear you. So please send that to us. Send it to us on our page. Nothing, oh, I was going to say nothing sexier than freedom. Successful soul fed. See, look, I messed it up again.
Sexy, successful, and soul fed. Join our Facebook group. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. Join us and share with us your story, either through message or post it. If you feel brave enough to post it, we'd love to hear. Helen, where can we find you?
Yes, you can find me on Hell of a Journey with one L, HELOF Journey. That's you can find me on Instagram with that, or TikTok, just add the number one, or Facebook, Helen Edwards, author Helen Edwards. And you can get my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, available on Amazon and Audible. January, what about you?
Find me, January Liddell. That's 2 D's, 2 L's, LIDDELL.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Anchored Financial. That's Anchored with a D, Financial LLC, both on Facebook and Instagram. And my book, Alina the Honeymaker. I'm sorry, Alina the Super Saver, and Dynamo Junior Spending Spree on Amazon. The Facebook page and the Instagram page is Alina the Honeymaker. So please look for me there. We're so grateful for you. Thank you so much for listening to us and just for supporting us. We appreciate you so much. Aloha.
I hit.
Want to hear more?
Visit us at sexyfreedommedia.com.